morning, First Universalist. Thank you. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our opening hymn, Gather the Spirit.
Good morning. It is so good to be together. Welcome to First Universalist Church. I am so glad that each and every one of you are here. It is especially good to be here together on this holiday weekend when all ages are gathered together in the sanctuary for worship together. I am the Reverend Jen Crow. I use she, her pronouns, and it is a joy to be leading worship today with our worship associates, Nan and Malia, with Reverends Laura and Ashley, with Sally and Amy, and with huge thanks always to John and Rob in tech who are helping to make everything work, to all of our artists and everyone who cares for this space, for our ushers and greeters, and to each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. We make this time and space sacred together, whether we're here in the sanctuary or joining online. It is so good to be in community together today. Here at First Universalist, we know that beloved community is something that we build and practice together. We build and practice beloved community by breathing together, by moving together, by celebrating and creating together. This nourishes us and helps us build our community, where we inherit and create and sustain and pass on the universalist spirit of love and hope now and for times we shall never see. Welcome to this spiritual community centered in a love so powerful that it can't help but transform us individually and collectively. Bell Hooks, the beloved ancestor and author, invites us to understand love, the love that is at the center of our faith, not just as words on mushy Valentine's Day cards, but as action verb. Love is as love does, Hooks teaches us. Love is an act of will. It is an intention and an action. And we don't have to do it. We can choose to love. In fact, we have to choose it, to choose to act out of love. To truly love, she teaches us, we must learn to mix ingredients together. Ingredients such as care and affection, recognition, respect, commitment, and trust, as well as honest and open communication. Love, she teaches us, shows up as the will to extend oneself for one's own or each other's spiritual growth. So, being here today, we are performing an act of love, extending ourselves for our own and each other's spiritual growth. This is what we are trying to live into here in this community of faith, the kind of love that does change lives and change the world. A love like this requires a strong container, a container of promises we make, promises we keep, promises we inevitably break, promises we work to mend. We gather today as a whole community to engage in our own rituals of promise and repair, to commit ourselves again to the ways of love and the practice of beloved community. The promises ritual that we will share in today is inspired by the work of the Reverend Dr. Molly Hausch Gordon, and it reminds us that the work of love and justice are intentional, enduring practices, and the promises we make, the promises we break, the promises we mend are central to living into love and justice. One promise we can keep now, one promise we can always choose to keep is the promise to our bodies and to our interconnected body. And so I will invite us into a shared practice of intentional breath. This will be a practice of 3 breaths, and for me, I like to have a deeper inhale than usual and a slower exhale than usual. This helps to settle our nervous systems, but also it helps to remind us that our inhale is each other's exhale. Our exhale, each other's and the earth's inhale. So I invite you to join with me in this practice of 3 on-purpose breaths. From this place of connection and calm, we remember the promises that keep us together. And I invite you to say aloud, if you wish, the words for the lighting of the chalice with me. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning, beloveds. My name is Ashley. I'm one of the ministers among you. I use she, her pronouns. And I get to introduce one of my favorite modern sacred texts. How many of you have seen the show Bluey? Yes. Hello, my people. We're going to watch a little clip from season 3, the episode called Promises. Promises can be big and scary, but I want to remind us all that promises can be daily also. And here's just a little bit of a window on those kinds of promises. Thank you all for indulging me. What is a promise? I've been thinking a lot about that lately. What is a promise? And the most concrete way I can think about explaining it to myself is that a promise is an intention, something I am meaning to do that matters to me, and I say it out loud in some way. Sometimes promises are small, like cleaning up the puzzle you said you would clean up. Sometimes promises are really big, like finding ways to be loving and kind. So let's just think together for a minute. Turn to somebody nearby or somebody's. I know I'm an introvert. This is like my least favorite thing in church. So if this is a thing where it just is like, this is one step too far for me today, it's okay. You can meditate on this question in your heart and just put your hand on your chest. But if this is a moment to push a little bit, because you have capacity magically in yourself to push a little bit, then do indeed turn to somebody near you, somebody's near you, and talk together just for a few minutes about promises you've kept and promises you've broken, big or small. All right, just about one more minute here. All right, I'm going to leave you wanting to talk more instead of feeling awkward. Maybe you feel awkward and you want to talk more. That's okay too. Let's share together anything we noticed about what makes keeping a promise easier. How do we do that? Or what makes it really hard to keep a promise? And you can just share it out loud. I'll repeat it back. And those of you online, my friends online, you can share it in the chat, and I will share it out loud. Create reminders of the promise you made. You know, that's the first thing somebody said in the first service too. Remembering the promise you made. Yes. Saying out loud to other people the promise you've made. Having an accountability buddy. Okay, so we had a whole sermon. Accountability to self has to happen before accountability to others is the summary. If we no longer have energy to hold the promise, then we have to be honest with ourselves first before we can be honest with somebody else about that. Wow, y'all. Anyone else want to preach? You don't have to preach. You can just share a smaller observation. Promise to youth and they hold you accountable? Oh, yeah. So true. Anyone else? Yeah. What if the library is shut? What if the promise makes you look ridiculous, like what happened to the dad there? It's a part of a bigger promise, right? A promise to show up for his kids that he doesn't name. It's that promise earlier about how he will always love them. It's the bigger promise underneath the smaller promises of cleaning up toys and going to the library. This is the other thing I've noticed about promises. Small promises I can keep by my own self if I remember. Brushing my teeth, generally, I can do that. The bigger the promise gets, the more I need help. The more people it takes to keep the promise. In that story of Bluey, it takes all of them to keep the promise of showing up to each other. In the story of our community, when we practice bigger promises like kindness, like remembering the inherent worth of and dignity of each other, like centering love, it takes all of us to hold those promises. Think bigger, think out to the size of our country. Think about the promises that are really obvious that have been broken and continue to be broken right now. It takes all of us to break those promises or to resist the breaking of those promises, to not comply with the breaking of those promises, to renew our promises together and with each other, to build circles of promise in community. Let us keep supporting each other to hold the big promises, to remember that we are not alone, but we are holding them together. May it be so. May we make it so. In Bluey's name, amen.
How awesome to belong to a place that says in Bluey's name, amen. I'm Reverend Laura. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm here filling in for Reverend Reef's leave, focusing on pastoral care. Last week, I received my copy of the book Love at the Center, Unitarian Universalist Theologies. I ordered it in November. It's recently been published by the Unitarian Universalist in-house publishing group, Skinner House Books. It's a bunch of essays on us centering love in our tradition. I only have cracked it open long enough to see if there were words of wisdom that I could include in our prayer today. And unbeknownst to Jen and I too turned to the words of Bell Hooks, who also gifted us with her book, All About Love, which was cited in our Unitarian Universalist book. I believe that at times like this, we need to be ferocious students of love. Not that squishy and saccharine kind of love, although there's seriously nothing wrong with that if you're feeling it. But a deeper, more kind of courageous love, one that calls us out of shock and complacency and into engagement with the world and with each other. Bell Hooks says, we can collectively regain our faith in the transformative power of love by cultivating courage, the strength to stand up for what we believe in, to be accountable both in word and deed, to live our lives based on the principles of a love ethic, which is showing care, respect, knowledge, integrity, and the will to cooperate. We have to be courageous. Learning to face our fears is one way to embrace love. Our fear may not go away, but it will not stand in the way. Those of us who have already chosen to embrace a love ethic, allowing it to govern and inform how we think and act, know that when we let our light shine, we draw to us and are drawn to other bearers of light. We are not alone. Love is leaning into the interconnectedness in ways that are creative or generative. Thank you, Bell Hooks. We aren't alone. Each week we convene here and online. Ashley's hanging out with the online people today. We share our joys and our sorrows that are part of our daily lives. And one of the promises that we make to each other is that we will hold each other's sorrows and pain, and that we will celebrate each other's joys. Today, after folks share, we will come together and say, "You are not alone. We are holding it together," as one of the promises we make. So the circle is now open. Our love and prayers are with Sigrid Nielsen's mother, Valerie, who has cancer and has entered into hospice. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For all the people in Ukraine, you are not alone. We are holding it together. For the Unitarian Universalist Association joining the lawsuit to keep ICE out of our, what did you say? Houses of worship. Amen. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For a child who is blossoming socially. You are not alone. We are holding it together.
For all missing and murdered Indigenous relatives and trans people, especially Sam Norvis, who were
For all missing Indigenous people, and also for Sam, what's Sam's last name? Norvis, who was murdered and whose body was recently discovered, and other trans folks. You are not alone. We are holding it together. The Goplin Ray family who welcomed a new child this week. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For her granddaughter who's getting married next Saturday. You are not alone. We are holding it together.
Leaders, that they might have hearts of compassion.
For all our leaders, that they might have hearts of compassion. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For all the volunteers and the guests of the pancake breakfast. Jen will talk a little bit more about that later. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For a 16th birthday coming up next week, you are not alone. We are holding it together. Our love travels with our beloved staff member, Liz Farmer. This is her last Sunday with us as a staff member, but she will be joining us in the pews in the coming months. We thank her with all our hearts. We thank her with all our hearts for her years of faithful commitment, and we look forward to the joy of welcoming her into this community in new ways. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For all that has been spoken out loud and so much that remains in the silence of our own hearts, let us just take a moment to breathe for a few minutes before we sing Spirit of Life. all sound so beautiful. Bell Hooks speaks of us living in a culture where policies of greed are normalized. These policies of greed have a very real human cost, particularly to those who are marginalized. And we all know that the earth has paid an unimaginable cost. So today our offering is for the Environmental Initiative. The Environmental Initiative brings people from businesses, communities, nonprofits, and government agencies together to learn and to discuss and to act. They realize that environmental problems need collaborative solutions, so they are committed to bringing people with different perspectives and experiences to meet and to find ways to protect the environment. The baskets will be passed here, and you can also use the QR code that's on the walls.
My name is Nan Potter, and I'm going to be reading part of a poem called Spilling the Light by Julian Jamaica Soto. Some people are used to keeping rules. Don't cross the street when the light is red. Only sensible. And it turns out that keeping rules isn't the same as keeping covenant, which asks us, instead of keeping a bright line, to keep our promises. To what have we promised ourselves? To this moment in time and place, to this community, and even tenderly interconnected planet. We promise ourselves to the idea that each and all human beings that we are each and all human beings. Thank you. We promise that there is something moving between us that we cannot tame and we cannot measure. The chalice is a reminder that what flame we keep inside us cannot light the way. The light must spill to shine.
We are people of promise, and Unitarian Universalism is a faith of promise. Our communities and congregations organize themselves primarily around two meanings of this word, promise: potential and commitment. At First Universalist, we do that too. We say out loud what we hope for, and we work hard to make that happen. We covenant, or we make promises with each other and with life, and when we do, we find that what is possible grows and grows. We are a faith of promise. And this morning, we're going to name some of the sacred possibilities and cherished commitments that we hold dear. And we're going to do that through a ritual. So I'm going to invite a handful of folks. I would love it if 3, 4, 5 people, could be adults, could be children, youth, helpers, could come up and join Reverend Jen and do some building together. All right, yes, don't be shy. This is going to be very fun, I promise. And what you're going to do is you're going to build a rock structure together.
All right, you've got this. So as we place rocks on this table and start building, what I want to invite you to is to share a word of something that you hope for in this community, something that we are building up together, so that with each thing that gets put on here, we can also add our hopes and intentions of what we're building. Okay, and if you can speak it into the microphone if you want, or you can whisper it to me and I'll say it. Deal? Okay. Anybody ready? Love. Beautiful. Awesome.
Acceptance.
Acceptance. Yes, go for it. You can grab rock and put it on there.
Affection.
Affection. All right, we can keep on building. Hope. Yes. We definitely need some hope.
Kindness.
Kindness. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Happiness.
Happiness. Yes. What else?
Non-hateful.
Non-hateful. Yes. Yes.
Integrity.
Integrity. Yes. These are some strong and important words you all have for us. What else? And again, you can whisper it to me. If you have a second one, we can do that. We can take things from the crowd. Integrity. Let's do that again. Yeah. What else do we need?
Braveness.
Braveness. Absolutely.
Kindness.
Kindness. Yes.
Honesty.
Honesty.
Trust.
Trust. Yes. Promises. Thank you, Kai.
Vulnerability.
Vulnerability. Yes. All right. Even if you don't have words, you can build up a little bit more over here. Responsibility. Yes. Accountability.
Ask.
Ask. Consent.
Braveness.
Braveness. Absolutely. Y'all are making something beautiful over here. Risk taking. Yes. All right. You all can keep adding a few more stones and we're going to do something together.
Yeah. So I'm going to have you just repeat after me to close this first piece as they continue to build. A promise we make with care. A promise we make with care.
So when we make these promises, then we try our very best to keep them. Our promises help us to build up, and we do our best to keep them. Yesterday, here in this building, we kept a promise. Downstairs below us in our social hall, we had over 100 folks registered for our trans family pancake breakfast, right? We had a big crowd of trans and gender expansive people, kids, siblings, parents, grandparents, all sorts of family gathered for a Valentine's Day pancake breakfast. We spent time together sharing a delicious meal, spent time in small groups creating and crafting and reflecting, playing with old friends and with people that folks had just met. Most importantly, everyone there was reminded that they are loved exactly as they are. Everyone there was reminded that at this church, we will do everything we can to protect trans and gender expansive children and youth and adults, no matter what is happening beyond our walls. We kept a promise. Putting love at the center through sprinkle-filled pancake batter and messy art supplies, we reminded ourselves and each other that each and every person is whole and holy and worthy, welcome and wanted. Thank you all. This is gorgeous. So, keeping our promises is essential. I invite you to think of the promises that are being kept in your life. What promises are you keeping? What promises are others keeping to you? Let's hold this in our heart for a moment. What promise are you keeping? What promise is someone keeping to you? I'm going to say a few words, and I invite you to respond with a promise we hold with love. A promise we make with care. A promise we hold with love. A promise we hold with love.
Even doing the best we can, people break things. We break glasses, we break promises and hearts. We break things out of carelessness, sometimes spite. We break things because we cannot imagine there's any other choice. We break things because we're clumsy. We just break things because we're human. We've all broken promises. Our communities have broken promises. Our members have broken faith with people, with our values, and with nature. Our government has broken promises to care for the most vulnerable and to make our country a place of safety, welcoming, and belonging. And we feel the impact of those broken promises deeply in our bodies and our spirits. Broken promises have consequences. Thich Nhat Hanh says that we are interbeings. As I understand it, this means that we are integrally interwoven together with the natural world, with systems of oppression, and with indifference to suffering and cruelty. Every day, we may find ourselves having participated in harm without even knowing that we caused harm. So part of the work of being human is to sit with one another, acknowledging that we make mistakes, We sometimes get casual about our commitments and our promises and our covenants. We can acknowledge that the ways that we live in the world are sometimes justice and freedom building, and sometimes they are injustice perpetuating. We acknowledge these truths and we refuse to turn away. Now, I would like to invite a few people up here, new people maybe who haven't come up, to come up as representatives of this part of the ritual. That's the invitation. Okay. Great. Just over there. Great. Thank you. Right there. Yeah? Yeah? Thank you. Thank you. Hey. When we break things, they get weaker. The people who are up here are going to demonstrate for us the sorts of things that happen to our structures when promises are broken. Okay, so that's a beautiful, awesome structure. And they are going to show us that promises weaken our connection and our possibilities. So as they do this, just as an example for us, as part of our ritual, consider a promise that you have bent or broken. Good job. So I too am going to say part of the ritual that we're adding on to, and the last will be the one that I invite you to join in with me on. A promise may bend or break. A promise we make with care, a promise we hold with love. A promise may bend or break. A promise may bend or break.
But we are not stuck repeating our broken promises. We can turn back to those things we value and commit to. We can acknowledge our mistakes and forgive one another, restore relationships, mend broken trust, recommit ourselves to one another, to local communities, to our neighborhoods, hold ourselves and each other accountable, treat promises and covenants as sacred, not something we casually say and dismiss when the going gets hard. Today's world is messy and scary, and now more than ever, we need to renew some of our promises. The good news is we can do this. We need to make the changes within ourselves that keep us sturdy and steady so that we can continue to work toward a just and free world. The most meaningful commitments are the ones we get to make, again, every day. They are the ones that we refresh and rededicate ourselves to over and over, because in and through them, we also meet joy. We can let the gap between our promise, our potential to be the people we dream of being, and the reality of the ways we fall short, not be a source of shame, but an invitation worthy of celebration. What a gift that we are never done learning, never done growing, and get to begin again in love with each other every day, this day. So the final step in our ritual of promise is renewal. And together we can turn back again and again to a love at the center of things that is unshatterable, and to it we can rededicate our lives. The promise that we can renew, that we can keep, is the promise to return, to seek repair, to reconnect. We can't always stop the breaking, but we can choose to get on with the creative work of mending and of making the shards into something new. So I would like to invite folks up one more time to help us rebuild our structure. And if anyone was part of the breaking and wants to come be part of the rebuilding, yes, there you go, you can do that. And as these brave folks engage in the rebuilding, I invite you to take a moment to make or renew a promise to yourself, to our community or our world, to commit to a way in which you will move forward now in the work of repair and justice. And as you do so, these folks are going to rebuild the rock structure in a new way, reminding us that when we return to promises, the world changes again. So one last time, I'll have you repeat after me, and the rebuilding will continue. A promise we make with care, a promise we hold with love, a promise may bend or break, and a promise can build again. A promise can build again.
I love the ways this is being rebuilt already. I can't wait for us all to be able to see it. And I remind us that this promise ritual is something you can take home as a spiritual tool for yourself, for your friends, for your family. The ideas of naming the promises we are making, the promises we are keeping ourselves and each to the other, naming it when the promises are broken, and then recommitting again when the promises are made anew. This is our work. So I wonder, folks, can we see the structure you've built? Or is it just not ready yet? Not ready yet? Okay. Well, we are ready to prepare our hearts to sing. But before we do, I want to remind you of a couple things. One, there's coffee and conversation downstairs in the social hall after the service, along with a chance to sign up to be part of our congregational care teams. So please take a visit down there if you're here with us in person. Also, if you are new or newish to our community, you are invited to join us for a place to start right up here after the service. Bob Kimball will be leading. Here, look for him right up here. It's a great opportunity to learn more about the church and for us to learn more about you as well. All right, are we ready now? Okay, I think we have to be. All right, let's see it. This is gorgeous. Wow, you all. You did an amazing, amazing job. So remember, we can always return to the promises we make, to the promises we keep. Even if promises are broken, we can renew them again. May this be our work together. Amen. And let's sing together one last time.
Oh
Go now in peace, friends.